What's up, Kryptonians? As you can probably tell, my surroundings, my set is a little bit different than it's been for like the last year. That's because I'm in the middle of a move. I have transitioned most of my stuff into my new place, and I haven't fully gotten things set up yet. So yes, things look a little bit tacky. I'm hoping that they will improve, but for now, this is what you got. So it's time to review Insidious: The Last Key, a January horror movie. There's no way this is going to be terrible, right? This is the fourth film in the Insidious franchise. It stars Lisa Ray, I think is her name. Lisa Ray or Lisa Ann. No, it's not Lisa Ann. That's that is a disturbing look into my Pornhub history, and it's definitely Lisa Ray. Please be Lisa Ray. Pretty much the old woman from the other Insidious movies. She's back in this movie. She's pretty much the face of the franchise at this point. The movie takes place in 2010. It's another prequel that takes place before the other Insidious films. And in this one, there's a guy who calls them up. He's like, hey, there's some creepy shit going on in my house. I need you to come investigate. And so they go to investigate, but they find out that the house that this man is, being haunted in is the same house that Elise, the character of Elise, grew up in as a child. And she was very traumatized by certain things that happened in that house as a child, so she has to try to conquer her demons on that front, and then she also has to conquer her demons, like the literal demons that are haunting the house. She has to figure out why the hell all this is happening. Like I said, it's a January movie, it's a horror movie. 90% of the time, those are shit. We have seen some absolute fart boxes in the last few years, people. Come on. I mean, last year alone gave us The Bye-Bye Man. Admittedly, after not being a huge fan of the third film in the Insidious franchise, I did not go into this movie with a whole lot of expectation. Surprise, surprise, the movie's actually not complete shit. It's not good, but it's not shit. That's a victory, right? First of all, Lisa Ray, it's not Lisa Ann. Lisa Ray gives the best performance in the movie, hands down. Like I said, she's the face of the franchise, and she pretty much has carried these movies on her back. She carries this entire movie on her back. She was really great in this movie, and it was also really great to see her backstory, to see a little bit of how she became the Elise that we see in today, or at least in the previous Insidious movies. Delving into her past, seeing some of the emotional trauma that was built up in her childhood, a lot of that shit was actually kind of compelling. A lot of that was really interesting, and that was the most interesting part of this movie. I'll also say the movie did have some clever scares, or at least some clever ways that it tried to make things scary. A specific trick with this flashlight that they use in the movie that I thought was kind of used to a somewhat creepy effect, and they also do this thing with the sound edits where they turn on the surround sound and they try to make it like this this big sound thing, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Who try to do that slow burn, tension-filled horror thing that you've seen in other movies like The Conjuring, or even a little bit in the first two Insidious movies. Yes, there are jump scares, but again, they're not the fake jump scares. I can deal with jump scares as long as they're not the fake-ass jump scares where, there's something really scary that's supposed to be happening, the music is turning up, and then all of a sudden, a cat knocked over a broom or some shit. I hate that shit. This movie doesn't have many scares like that, so kudos to them. I can't deny that for most of the runtime of this movie, I found myself questioning why this movie was even happening. It's the fourth film in a franchise. Usually by the fourth film in a franchise, the franchise starts to lose a little bit of its steam, a little bit of its verve, and it starts to run out of reasons to exist. And Insidious: The Last Key is no different. There are large portions of this movie where I can't deny I was feeling really, really bored. The biggest part of that is that the movie itself is not really creepy or scary or intimidating the way that I think they wanted it to come off as. There are scares in this movie that you've seen 100 times before. There are scares in this movie that you've seen done better or executed better in better movies. Overall, there's really nothing here that's gonna shake you out of your boots or put the fear of God in you or whatever. I mean, hell, if you're a lightweight when it comes to this shit, yeah, maybe you might be scared. But for me, I found myself bored, not scared. The monster itself is this big, ugly, golem-looking thing with keys for fingers. You've seen him in the trailers. This guy just had no fear factor, at all. Just none. He wasn't scary. He wasn't intimidating. He wasn't even in the movie all that much. Yeah, he showed up every now and then to, do something scary, but you never really understood the whole point of why he's in this movie, and you don't really understand how what he's doing is supposed to scare you. The entire time the finger key guy was on screen, all I kept thinking about was one of my favorite songs. I got the keys, keys, keys. I got the keys, keys, keys. I got the keys, keys, keys. I got the keys, keys. Sorry, Jay-Z and Future cannot save this movie. I wish they could. The two sidekick people that follow her around, I forget their names. That's how forgettable they are as characters. This movie, they do try to go a little bit more with the humor of these characters, and I'm sorry, they weren't really all that funny in previous movies, and this one, the humor is bad. It's awful type of humor. cringeworthy type shit. Like, I just, none of the humor in the movie really landed for me. Between that and some weird story stuff that happens towards the end of the movie that took me out of it, where some things are just kind of convoluted and some things aren't really properly explained or set up, I found myself feeling like, okay, outside of the main woman in this movie who carries this franchise, most of this shit is forgettable. There are a couple of hot chicks that show up towards the end of this movie that help out in some way, though, so how's that going for it? In the end, Insidious The Last Key is not a bad movie. It's not horrible. I thought it was going to be shit. It actually turned out to not be shit, but that doesn't mean that it escapes the toilet bowl. Insidious The Last Key was so meh that I'm gonna stick it in the Fortress of Solitude. Alright guys, that's my review for Insidious The Last Key. Let me know, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Please comment below and let me know what you thought. And subscribe to the Superfan Show. Stay tuned for a review from Mindhunter. That's going to be coming up soon. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!